So without further ado, I'd like to pass to our next speaker. He is a legend in the industry, as well as a legend in impact sourcing. So Dan Lang is one of the co-founders of Sutherland. He's basically a founding father of BPO, I think, let alone a really strong driving force in all subjects impact sourcing. So Dan, I'm going to pass over to you at 4:49 a.m. for you. So thank you.
I wish my 91-year-old father could hear that, because he has no clue what I do. I'm just a regular guy who lives up on the north coast of America, closer to Toronto than I am to New York City. But I wanted to speak this morning in preparation for this meeting. I thought about the topic in the audience, and really important, I think, to highlight the ability of social sourcing, impact sourcing, to actually have a lasting effect on entire nations. And at the same time, regardless of the scale of the buyer-provider relationship, whether it's a large-scale operation or a small-scale operation, there are principles that can be applied to daily operations. So by way of background, we've been in this business, global technology business services, for about 30 years. Kind of a typical story. We had a dozen operations in APAC. We had our Eastern European location. We had one of the only guys that had something in the Middle East at the time. Of course, South America and North America, US, Canada, and Mexico. You know, up to about 2010, you know, I'm very loose on my years here. Companies like ours, you know, had a formula, you know, show up, hire the best, pay moderately higher wage than the prevailing wage, and get all the best talent in these markets. Go back to your customer, provide an incredible value with highly educated people at about half the cost of what you were going to pay in I wouldn't even say Europe. Let's talk big cities. Half of what you're going to pay in Silicon Valley or in London or in Madrid or someplace, right? That was sort of the name of the game, and a lot of companies went pretty far on that. That business model still working very well today, purely by chance. Myself, a couple others get invited to what seems to be one of the founding events in Italy with University of Michigan and Microsoft and Digital Jobs Africa, Ancestry.com, Teleperformance, Accenture, a whole bunch of pure play impact sourcing companies in very interesting locations, right? We had folks from Kenya, Nigeria, a groovy company in Nepal that was doing something. We're looking at this and saying, wow, this is really incredible. Following the classic impact sourcing definition. One problem, you know, we're in high opportunity labor markets, but the formula, which most of us were following, was, you know, hire the best, pay a little more, and, everybody wins. So we have all these principles kicking around in our head. We take an actual site visit to South Africa. We say, we got to see this in practice, right? And we stumble upon an amazing operation where we're seeing, folks going to college, they're working on technology work, they're getting a free degree, first free university in South Africa. We go back and say, you know, this is really great stuff. What are we going to be able to do with it? We're, you know, we're not a grant-funded company. We're not a small market. We're in multiple places. Mind you, at this time, my company has 30,000 people, 100 clients, and we're doing just fine. I thought a good example to talk about impact sourcing principles and practice would be to talk about Jamaica. I see a lot of folks from the UK on the audience, and I think this might be fairly relevant. So around the same time, 2012, 2013, we've got the government of Jamaica saying, hey, come to Jamaica. This is a great place to do business, right? And we're like, we're everywhere. Nothing special about this. But we get a little excited about it. And we put, I think that the initial starting number was 73 people. Put 73 people on a college campus. There was a company, you got folks may remember Garmin. I think they're still around, but they made GPS units. Garmin had like 200 really, really smart kids at University of West Indies doing something for Garmin that required a lot of technical talent. They finished their project. They go about their merry way. They have a building sitting there. So we say, all right, let's put some people in here and let's see where this thing goes. Our single largest customer is in there and says, this is great. I want more people. What's not to like? We've got people in their junior, senior year of college, graduating from basically, you know, the Harvard of Jamaica. One problem: inside of a year, our demand grows to 500 people. Right? This is not a huge college, right? 500 people was a fairly big number, and our customers say, "Hey, we want more. We want more of this." Right? We had to shift gears and really, you know, say, what are we going to do? There, you know, do we go find another college? You know, how do we scale this? So we go back to all the principles we pick up from impact sourcing. We change the model. We go right to there was a couple players on the island, Xerox up in Montego Bay, a few collections agents up there. Montego Bay, if you know, nice place to visit, tourism, all this kind of thing. Kingston, the city of Kingston, you know, this is only 2012. 2010, extremely violent, you know, government issues with drug dealers, the whole 9 yards, everything that you, you know, could think about. People say you're nuts to go to Kingston and set up off campus. We move up onto the high street in between Royal Bank of Scotland and a Porsche dealer. And we take over a building, and we bring the whole model to the general public. All right. And I'm going to fast forward to today. Today, we're running 5 locations. We've even taken over the government post office in Kingston. We are not alone. We've got over 8,000 folks. At the same time, you can't go 4 blocks in any direction without seeing a major competitor's sign right in the same town. Collectively, we all employ over 50,000 people. The big difference, we started off with this model of earn where you learn, right? You know, we're paying soon to be graduates that could go toe to toe with graduates from, you know, Santa Barbara, San Diego, London, wherever. We flipped the model, and today it's really turned into a learn where you earn. Our employee base, which is not much different than anyone else in the market, is made up of 18 to 24-year-old people, with only a high school education. Some haven't even finished their high school because they had the need to work. 70% bright young ladies, 30% males, and 10 to 15% of our employees have one or more children at home. This is not unique to my company. This is basically the island. And in a population of 3 million people and the working adult population of about 1.2 million people, United Nations Global Compact, IAOP, we think, we've never done any official research, but we think this might be the most densely populated impact sourcing story on the planet. Now, what's happening at the same time? Wages are rising. Benefits are getting very, very creative. And this is how companies are competing. A middle class has been created. I took a trip there after pandemic around the 1st of January. I'm looking in parking lots. I see the Lexus. I see the Mercedes. I see the Volvo. These are not cars that folks in Jamaica were purchasing. Everyone pretty much on the island now has solid health care plan. For folks that are, from Europe, United States, we don't really understand a country without a safety net in the healthcare thing. So I think everyone collectively, that's hygiene, that's table stakes now. We are seeing wage parity with United States cities like my own. We probably about the same cost of labor as the high end of Jamaica right now, right? We're seeing wage parity, and the whole thing sort of rests on the ability to take these principles and apply them at scale. And very important point. And I had spoke with somebody at from the World Bank a while back, and they said, this impact sourcing thing's pretty neat, but I hope it's not just another job creation initiative. And I think where we're all going is really focusing on what happens after you hire a person. How long are they going to stay with you? What skills will they have when they move on? So I see the shift from 2023 to 2030 really being about developing these markets. It's no secret the labor pyramid is not a pyramid anymore. It's barely a column. The number of young people, number of 20-year-old people in the United States and UK right now is 10 million less than the number of 40-year-old people. So particularly for UK companies and US companies, I believe the market is coming that way. Everyone will be doing some form of social impact sourcing. Companies like ours are now working on the E side of the equation, right? Looking at fully self-sustainable buildings in some of these markets. Story's not unique just to Jamaica. We could tell a similar story in Egypt, another story in Colombia. And I think I've probably used up my time, so I'm going to yield the mic back. But thank you so much for having me this morning.
Thank you, Dan. And honestly, I could listen to you talk your stories for hours, and hopefully we'll get a chance for you to impart a few more tales and examples when we move on to the panel. But phenomenal to see how our industry has moved a country like Jamaica from poverty to being, as you said, almost middle class, or actually middle class. So fantastic example. So right.